consults,
Can
Doug
everybody
Alexander.
see what's going on with her sitting there? Okay.
All right, so you're gonna face April Anderson, and Doug will go first, and then Andrew Wynn will come second.
All right. I'm going to do an abbreviated version of what I usually do because we're limited on time. And so we'll get started.
Okay.
Hey, April,
Hi.
thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate you taking the time to come in.
Well, thank you.
All right. And before we get started here,
Mm-hmm.
I have one thing that I've got all your contact information here. I want to make sure that it's correct.
Okay.
And also I have a question here for you at the bottom.
Okay.
So if you can take the time to answer this question.
Okay.
And it's a rate, it's basically rating yourself as to what
Okay.
kind of buyer you are.
Okay, let's see.
Could I get y'all to back up maybe 2 feet? I'll move the table. The camera's not picking up everything.
Okay.
Just go back in April. I need to move this just, and if you scoot up to there, we'll be good.
Okay.
Okay. Is that good there? You want me to start this over?
No, you can
Okay,
just,
all right.
it's okay.
All right, good.
So just
Because since the audience doesn't know what you're doing.
What this is a rating sheet, and I've got your contact information that I get them to fill out. Usually I have this information done before a buyer consultation, but what this asks is getting them to rate themselves on 3 questions. One is, I need to be in a home within the next 2 to 4 months. I'm ready to buy now, and do not have any home to sell prior to buying a home. So that rates them their level of immediacy now, so I know their urgency. The next one is, I'm ready to buy as soon as possible, but I have a home to sell. That changes the buyer consultation because I need to know if they're moving in from out of town, they may have the home for sale in another market, or they may not have it for sale. So it's an opportunity to get a listing as well as to refer an out-of-town buyer to an agent. Number C is, I'm in no hurry to buy now. I'm just gonna wait for the right house to come along, okay? That sets the urgencies, which is good to know, because in this market that we're in now, it's hard to find just the right house.
Right.
So what that means is my consultation may change a little bit depending on that kind of buyer style. In other words, I'm not gonna have the urgency I'm gonna send them stuff and I'm gonna get them out and show them, take them out on the showing, but I'm not gonna be running out all the time if I've got other people with more urgent needs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that's what that is. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to fill that out, and I see you rated yourself as a B.
Yes.
Okay, so you're ready, but you do have a house to sell.
Well, we're not thinking about selling it. We're actually going to rent it out
Oh,
so
you're
that
gonna
we
rent
can
it.
keep it as an investment
Well,
property.
that's absolutely wonderful. That's
Mhm.
one of the best ways to build wealth.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where do you work?
So I don't have a job. My husband is basically the breadwinner,
Okay.
and he works at NASA. He's an
Oh.
engineer.
Wow, fantastic.
So-
That's awesome.
So yes, so we're looking to we're really trying to move within the next couple of weeks, hopefully.
Oh, and the
If we
next
can
boy,
find-
we really got to
Yes.
get going quick
Yes.
then, don't we?
Yes.
Right. Have you ever bought a house before?
Yes.
The one you're living in there now,
Yes.
you bought, you're going to rent. And so, based on that home that you're living in now,
Mhm.
why is it that you're looking to buy another home? What's
Well,
changed?
we wanted to keep this home as an investment property,
Mm-hmm.
and so we wanted to build wealth that way.
Okay. Is there any lifestyle change that has happened in your life that's causing you to buy a house other than just wanting to build equity in a home?
Just want to build equity.
Okay, so this particular house that you've got now,
Mm-hmm.
if you found one just like it, you'd be perfectly happy.
Yes, sure will.
Okay, great. Well, what I'd like to do is come out and take a look at that house sometime, give you an
Okay.
idea what it would rent for,
Mhm.
and then I can get a really good understanding of what you're looking for.
Mhm.
Okay?
Oh, that
Sound
sounds
good?
awesome. Yes.
Okay, is there any other thing in a home that you're looking for that may not have in this particular home?
I would like a sauna this time, and I would like an outdoors pool.
You want an outdoor pool,
Mhm.
okay, and you want a sauna.
Yes.
And on this particular pool
Mhm.
that you're looking at, do you care whether it's a in-ground pool, above-ground pool, gunite, or vinyl pool?
In ground.
In-ground?
Yes.
Okay, in-ground. So we'll look for a gunite,
Okay.
which is a concrete floor. Perfect.
Yes.
Well, great. I've got a handout here to give you,
Okay.
and this is our buyer's book.
Oh, okay.
And in this buyer's book, it goes through and explains a lot of what we're gonna cover, and it's gonna be a refresher for you, okay? So one of the first things I wanna go over, with you is the purposes of what we do to work with buyers.
Okay.
This is just an opening letter,
Mm-hmm.
and in our buyer book, we have this program that we work with buyers. It's called our 360 Buyer's Edge System.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 10-point program designed to educate you, take you through the entire buying process, let you understand what's going on in the market,
Okay.
and how we work as an agent to represent you.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you can take this and read it at your leisure. If you have
Okay.
any questions later, feel free to contact us.
Okay.
But what we want to do is to educate you.
Mm-hmm.
We come from more of a consultative approach
Mm-hmm.
than we do a salesperson approach.
Okay.
Okay, you don't want to be pressured to buy anything.
Exactly.
Okay, right.
Right.
Perfect.
And I will
Okay.
hope that you, as my agent, will be looking out for my best needs and interests.
Well, that's what we do. One of the things that when you work with a buyer's agent like us, you're going to sign a buyer brokerage agreement with us.
Okay.
And this buyer brokerage agreement binds us to represent your best interests. So anything that we do, we have a fiduciary responsibility, which means we are required by law to represent your best interests.
Oh, sounds wonderful.
Now, the way buyer's agency works, and the way agency works in general, which we have to discuss, is this. If you were to go out and look at a home, and let's say you call the sign,
Right.
the particular agent that answered the phone represents the seller.
Right.
They have a fiduciary responsibility to that seller.
Correct.
Now, if you go talk directly to the seller, which is possible in the state of Georgia, it's called dual agency, the seller's agent might be representing the seller and you. It's a very difficult thing to do. We don't practice that form of agency in our group,
Oh, okay.
okay? We want that separation.
Right.
So if you were to call a seller's agent and they were representing the seller, who do you think they would be negotiating for?
Just a seller.
Right. And that's not something you want, correct?
Right. That's correct.
Right. You want representation from a buyer's agent, right? So what we do is represent your fiduciary responsibility, and because we are bound to you, we have to go find as much information as possible about that house,
Oh, okay.
behind the scenes, things that you wouldn't normally find out. And we all know that in a negotiation, that information is power, right?
Yes.
Right. And you want that power behind you to, right? Okay,
Right.
great. So that's kind of what we do as a buyer's agent. We look at over 200 homes a month.
Oh, really?
So we know the market better than just about anyone.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that once I see your home, I can probably find you or direct you right to the home that you would buy in the first couple of days.
Okay.
That sound good?
Sounds wonderful.
Okay, perfect. Now, how long has it been since you bought that house?
About 5 years ago.
5 years ago. There's not been a lot changed in contracts, but I do want to spend just a minute reviewing the contract price. When you find a house, what we're going to do is we're going to get disclosures from the seller that are seller property disclosures, and if it's an HOA, community association disclosures, and any other information that we can get out of the seller that he's required by law to report.
Okay.
We're going to review those documents with you, and so you understand the condition of the home based on what the seller has done and what the HOA responsibilities are going to be. And if everything looks good, we're going to make an offer on the house. We're also going to look at the area comparables to let you know exactly what that home should sell for. Does that sound good?
Yes, I'm good.
Now, in this market, do you know the difference between a seller and a buyer's market?
I don't.
Okay. Well, according to the National Association of Realtors, a seller's market is defined as homes on the market if there's more than a 6 months of supply on the market, that's a buyer's market. If there's more under a 6 month supply of homes, it's a seller's market. As a matter of fact, we have a little chart I'm going to show you. We call this our American Idle chart.
Okay.
This goes back to 2008, and really roughly this green line here across, it represents a 6 month supply of houses on the market.
Okay.
As you can see here, going back in time, there were a lot of homes on the market. And if you bought 5 years ago, you bought in the time period when there were a tremendous amount of homes on the market. That was considered a buyer's market at that time.
Okay.
This black line going, squiggly line going here, is the actual month supply of houses on the market.
Oh, wow.
When we get below the 6 month supply of houses on the market, then it becomes a seller's market.
Oh, okay.
So your negotiating power is a lot less,
Mhm.
and the selection of houses is a lot less. As you can
Mhm.
see here from these red lines,
Yes.
these are the number of active homes that are on the market
Mhm.
at any given time. And here we are at the end of the fourth quarter.
Mhm.
Okay, so you can see there's a number of homes on the market, but the supply of homes
Yes.
is still below that 6-month line. So it's
Right.
really a seller's market.
Mhm.
And in the price range that you're looking at, that we
Mhm.
discussed,
Mhm.
this is in the area that you're looking at. What you can see here is in that particular area, there's a 1.9 month supply of houses on the market,
Mhm.
which means that there's not very many homes in the market, and the ones
Mhm.
that do come on go very quickly.
Mhm. Okay.
So we have to be prepared to act quickly when we
Mhm.
find that right house.
Mhm. Okay.
And if you'll notice also that the sales to list price ratio is 95.7, I believe.
Mhm.
That's to the original list price. Sometimes sellers price them high, and that is
Mhm.
the average.
Mhm.
What we're finding out in this marketplace, if the home is very desirable and it's very in good condition,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of buyers looking because there's not very many houses for sale, it'll
Mhm.
have multiple offers.
Mhm. Oh,
Okay.
really?
Right.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you a question. In order to make you as a strong a buyer as possible in this
Mhm.
very competitive market,
Mhm.
have you been pre-approved with a lender yet?
Yes.
Okay, and who's your lender?
ABC.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Work with them a lot. They're an excellent lender. And
Mhm.
you do have a pre-approval letter from them at this point in
Yes,
time.
we do.
Perfect, because that makes you a cash buyer.
Okay.
So if you're going up competing against other buyers in a strong
Mhm.
market, and let's say you offer $2,000 less than the list price,
Mhm.
and let's say some of the other buyer that you're competing against offers $2,000 more,
Mhm.
but they're not pre-approved,
Mhm. Mm.
even though you offer less, that puts you in a stronger
Mhm.
negotiating position,
Right.
and you might be able to win that house.
Okay.
Understand how that works?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, good. Any questions about the
No questions so
information
far.
here?
This
Can I
was
ask a
great.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Mhm.
You said that makes you a cash buyer?
It makes you like a cash buyer.
Like a cash buyer?
Like a
Okay.
cash buyer.
Okay.
Okay.
That was gonna be new information if that was what cash buyers were.
No,
Okay.
we'll like it cash.
But pre-approved, we can definitely move
Yeah,
forward quickly.
you definitely wanna have, before you put a buyer out looking,
Okay.
get 'em
Right.
good.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
And do you, I'm sorry, do you usually generally do the buyer consultation after you know they already have the pre-approval?
Mm-mm.
Do it before?
Yeah,
Okay.
Would you do a buyer's consultation on a Saturday morning before you went and looked at properties on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, or how do you wanna schedule that?
I typically like to do the buyer consultation first, have the pre-approval letter first. And I don't like setting up houses to go out the same day I do the buyer consultation.
Okay.
And the reason I don't is because in this tight market, there's not that many to choose from.
You can't act on it.
And you can't, it's hard to get short notice showings. You want to give the sellers as much time as you can, and then I want time to research based on what she tells me she's looking for.
Typically, you would schedule the buyer's consultation around their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
When do you find that you're doing your buyer's consultations usually?
It varies. Most of my buyer consultations, believe it or not, I do online.
Oh, wow.
Doug is not like
I'm
all
not-
of their agents.
I'm not typical. And the reason I do that is because people are busy these days. They
Mhm.
work. And I need to get both. If there's two people involved in it, I want both of them together at the same time. And it's hard to meet their schedules with the traffic that we
Right.
run into.
So are you talking about FaceTime or?
I'll do either
Skype.
Google Hangout,
Mhm.
Skype. My favorite is Join.me.
Join.
And the reason I like that is because I can talk to them on the phone while I'm sharing my screen,
Okay,
and don't
right.
have to worry about the latency issues on
Right.
the internet with voice.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
But it's freebie. You can it doesn't cost you anything.
Mhm.
Okay, let's get back to the console.
Okay.
Please.
We're the left after that. Okay. Okay. Now, in the contract, when you make an offer on a home, we have what we call a due diligence period, which we negotiate at the front of the contract. Today, typical is about 10 days.
Mhm.
Sellers like to negotiate that less.
Right,
Buyers like to negotiate that more.
right.
The first offer, depending on the house, we try to make that as short as possible to make your offer as attractive as possible.
Mhm.
That's why we have some recommended home inspectors on standby that can get out within 3 days to get your home.
Oh, wow,
And
you have them on
inspected.
standby, that sounds great.
Right.
Mhm.
So So that's the period where you do your inspections. Now, during that period of time, if for any reason you don't like that house,
Mhm.
you can terminate the contract. No questions asked, you don't even have to tell them why.
Right.
Okay, we just fill paperwork, send it out to them,
Mhm.
and then they sign it, send it back, and you get your earnest money back.
Oh,
Now, you know what earnest money is, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So typically, we want 1% earnest money down.
Mhm.
It gets held in our brokerage account, it's your money, it doesn't go
Mhm.
anywhere.
Right.
When you buy the house, it applies to your down payment.
Mhm. Right.
Okay, perfect. Now, if you walk away from the deal in the due diligence, you get that back. It takes about 5 to 10 days to get that
Mhm.
back.
Okay.
All right, next thing you've got is a finance contingency and an
Mhm.
appraisal contingency.
Mhm.
Now, this is the responsibility of the lender. We can do very little to help you get your earnest money back. Your earnest money is at risk after the due diligence period.
Okay.
Okay?
Can you explain to me why?
I can explain to you why. Now, here's the reason. If the home does not appraise,
Mhm.
then you can probably get your earnest money back.
Okay.
No
Right.
problem. Okay? If the lender does not give you the loan,
Mhm.
then you have to get what's called a loan denial letter, which comes from the lender's underwriting department.
Mhm.
Not the front office person you sign the loan paperwork with. It's an
Mhm.
official document that comes from the lender's underwriting
Okay.
department. Okay?
Mhm.
We have to have that prior to the end of the finance contingency.
Mhm.
Finance contingencies, we typically try to work with the lender to find out what they're comfortable with before we
Mhm.
make an offer.
Okay.
So if your lender says they need 35 days to get one approved,
Mhm.
we'll put 35 days on it.
Okay.
Okay. Usually appraisals can get done within 21 to 24 days.
Mhm.
And so we'll talk with your lender about that as well. This is
Okay.
information we take from your lender
Mhm.
to put in your offer.
Mhm.
That's why it's really important, again, to make sure you're pre-approved, you have the lender selected, and you don't change lenders in the middle of the deal. So if you're happy with the
Right.
lender, you've checked their rates, you've checked their origination fees, you're
Mhm.
happy with them, then that's the lender you want to stay with.
Okay.
Okay, I do recommend though that you go to more than one source to compare rates. If you
Mhm.
haven't done that in the past, you might
Mhm.
want to look at other lenders, and I have a
Mhm.
list of lenders I'll send you that you can interview.
Okay.
Okay? So those are the 3 periods in the contract.
Mhm.
Now, when we get to the point where we're gonna do a contract, there's a lot of details in the contract, but we'll go through those at that time and explain them to you in detail. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay, perfect. Now, another thing that we're gonna talk about here is the importance of inspections.
Mhm.
Okay, you want a good home inspector, and in today's market, there are some new tests that you might want to consider doing, depending on if you're buying an older home, and even in a newer home. I can give you some horror stories, but I don't want to scare you to death.
Okay.
99.9% of the time, it's usually not a big issue.
Okay.
You just have a home inspector do the general inspection of the house,
Mhm.
and they're gonna look at all the major systems, the roof, the plumbing, the electrical, the
Right.
foundation. If they see a problem that they do not have the speciality or the technical knowledge to assist
Mhm.
you with, they'll recommend bringing a specialist in.
Okay.
There's also a gas called radon,
Mhm.
and we highly recommend that everybody get a radon inspection on a home with a basement and even slab homes, because you know what radon gas is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. So it's the number 2 cause of cancer in the
Mhm.
country, and it comes in the house, and the problem with it is, it's not the gas that you breathe, it's the gas atomic gas that attaches to the dust particles that you breathe in that stick to your lungs.
Mhm.
So if it's below a certain EPA threshold, which is 4.0 milliliters per whatever the thing is that they use, I'm not a scientist.
Right. Right.
So then it's usually okay, you're okay. But if
Mhm.
it falls above that, then there's a remediation system that can be
Right.
put in, or you can walk away from the home.
Right.
It's your choice. Now, other things that you're gonna wanna consider doing is having a survey on the house.
Mhm.
Now, even in neighborhoods that are row houses, row after row after row,
Mhm.
I recommend you have a survey on the house.
Okay.
That protects you in
Mhm.
case the legal description does not match the property.
Mhm.
It will also help enforce the title insurance policy.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Now, as we get through that, when we get to that point, there's a whole list of inspections, and it depends on the property. If the
Mhm.
property has a septic tank,
Mhm.
or if it has other things that you need to worry about in the
Mhm.
yard, maybe it's got a culvert that runs under the house.
Mhm.
Anything like that, we'll recommend different inspections at that time, and you can decide whether you want to go forward.
How much does that normally range?
A normal house inspection on a standard size house, and I think you said your home was 2,700 square feet, is gonna run under $500.
Okay.
Now, a radon test may run an additional 150,
Okay.
but that varies depending on the inspection company that's
Right.
doing the test, and we'll
Okay.
give you a list of companies highly recommend.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, very good. Now, the next thing I wanna tell you about is, when you get to the point where we're gonna go out and look at homes, because the market is extremely tight and there's not a large number of homes on the market today, we have to be ready to go out on a minute's notice to see these homes.
Okay.
Now, we have a special system we're gonna set you on, it's a home notification system that we're gonna put you on. It's gonna send you the homes, as soon as they hit the market, you're gonna see them in your email,
Oh, really?
and I'm gonna see them in my email. And I may call you up when I see them if I see a house that's just like what you're looking for and say, we need to go out and see this. We set these showings up as quick as possible.
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna take you out and show you, take you out on a showing and show you everything in the market in that area, which I think right now, based on the knowledge that I have, there's 4 houses that would meet your requirements. And that's all that's
okay.
out there right now. These homes will probably go in the next 24 hours.
Really?
Right, so I'll set those, if it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and set the appointments up now to go see them tomorrow. Do you have time tomorrow?
I do.
Okay, with between 2 and 4 work.
2 o'clock will work.
Okay, perfect. Do you have any other questions for me right now?
I don't right now.
Okay, the only thing we need to do really to get started is to have you sign our buyer brokerage agreement,
Okay.
and then we'll get you out looking at houses and we'll find that perfect house for you.
Well, I would need to talk to my husband first to make sure that, he's okay with it before I actually sign.
Okay.
Okay?
This is a good point here. What she did right here is excellent.
Sorry.
Never ever do a buyer consult without both of them there. Okay?
April.
No, that's,
That was good.
that's good. Never ever. And that's a good reason why you don't do that.
As far as her telling you that she has a pre-approval letter and you not having it in hand, how do you go about that?
She'll send it to me when she signs the buyer brokerage. Cause I'll have that in hand before we go out.
Because then he'll know how much I can afford to.
Right.
And how do you, I heard you say it multiple times, but you have a list of different people that you can provide instead of just suggesting one. And I heard it brought up in the meeting as well. What's like the balance between being a professional that has someone that you highly recommend, that you worked with before, whatever? You just want to say multiple people that you worked with before, so that they give them an option.
I work with and I have worked with multiple vendors, and I do that for this reason. If one vendor gets backed up, you need another one to go to. Okay. So you need multiple of them. So you don't want to get. It's nice to have one that you depend on most of the time, that you understand how they work,
Right.
especially with inspectors. But you never put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Same thing with closing attorneys.
Right, I have, like my lenders, I have Certainty at the top, but I have 2 others. And so closing attorney, same thing. I have our preferred people at the top and then 2 others.
And
How
I'm-
many should you actually put? Like if I'm giving that to the buyer, say, here you go, here's some inspectors. How many should you actually have on that
Industry
list?
standard is 3.
Is 3.
Three.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
but
have
it's-
4 of each,
Mm-hmm.
and I basically, if they pick anyone on that list, I'm totally happy with any of them,
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
I don't care. If they pick their own lender,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the lender,
Right.
I can be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to grin and bear it because of, there's some legal issues
Mm-hmm.
that we can't force them to choose whoever they want.
Right.
You know, okay, but I can highly, strongly recommend that they get a second opinion.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
From one of the others. And I don't recommend one lender over another.
Mm-hmm.
I just say, these are my preferred lenders.
Okay.
And the first one at the top is typically to Certainty because they participate in our office.
Right. Okay.
And then I put the rest of them under there.
Mm-hmm.
So if y'all,
I'm pretty much done at this point unless there's any other questions.
well, I was gonna ask if, during your buyer consult, do you turn to the big screen and just,
In general, when I'm doing it online, which is how I typically do it, I share my screen and all this information is on that screen.
You see it.
What I have in this buyer consultation book, and I'm happy to leave it there for you guys to look at, I've got a flow chart here of the steps in the buying process. And this is on the screen the entire time I'm talking. What I also do is I get them to write down on a piece of paper as we're talking. Where's it at? This information here. I'll go through a more thorough needs assessment where I really drill down, and the first thing that I do is do the needs assessment first. And what I'm trying to do in the needs assessment is to build rapport with them. And if you noticed during this presentation that I gave, how many times did I get her to say yes?
Yes, a lot.
A lot, you know.
All right? That's what you're doing. And if you notice, when I got her to say yes, I was kind of nodding my head.
Yeah.
So would you agree?
You want to give them a leading question, or
Right.
you want to make it easy for them to
Right.
just say one thing, not have to give a detailed explanation.
Right. And the reason you're doing that is you're buying an agreement. The more you get them to say yes, when you get them to get to the point where they're doing the buyer brokerage agreement, then it's okay. Typically, I'll do 3 trial closes through the buyer appointment or a listing appointment.
Tell them what that means, trial close.
A trial close is a statement that you make that makes an assumption that they're gonna sign the brokerage agreement, whether it's a listing agreement or a buyer brokerage agreement. And it might be a statement like say, when you work with us,
Okay.
okay? Just statements like that. Now as you get more into the business, you'll understand things about embedded commands and how to use language to make a point. For example, in that lab, before one of the things I didn't do in this one, but I usually do is right at the end before I have the buyer brokerage agreement, I've gotten that buy-in. I've gotten no negative comments from them on the trial closes. I then say, if you're ready to get started, you want us to help you buy a house? And they say, yes. Okay, great. Then all we need to do is get you to sign this. And then I'll walk them through what the buyer brokerage agreement is.
Okay.
The one other thing I didn't talk about in here was FSBOs and new properties. I always, because in the buyer brokerage agreement, there's this thing on FSBOs where who pays the commission, right? I always go through and I tell them, it says, if you do find a for sale by owner home, would you call me first? And I understand that you look at a for sale by owner, and some people think that they can go negotiate a good deal with a for sale by owner because they're not paying a commission. Well, that can be true. I can typically negotiate with the for sale by owner, and they'll pay my fee anyway.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay. And another thing I didn't do in this, because I typically do it in a different order, is in the thing where I get through the level of services that we offer, I typically say this at the end of it, and I didn't do this, and I should have. I typically say, and you get all these services from us, and they don't cost you anything. How we get paid is the seller has negotiated our fee with their broker if they're buying a resale house or a new home builder. They have already got that commission put into their marketing costs. So you don't pay us anything when you buy a house.
That would have been good. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't put that in there. But in any case, I'm sure Andrew's will be a little smooth.
Andrew will, fill in all the gaps.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I've
Did you
been,
put
I've
that
been
book
working more.
together?
Recording.
Did you put that, or is that something we can download in front?
I was gonna say that.
Oh, I'll put it around here. If you guys want to give Stacy your email address, I'll send this to you.
Nice, awesome.
We have it. Thank you.
So we create our own buyer consultation.
This-
Exactly, with both listing and buyer, there are multiple stock versions online, and I'll teach you
Okay.
where all those are, but ultimately, you're gonna create your own.
Right. look for it.
And yes, so,
This is actually a derivative of the Michael Lewis thing you get for free to download. Okay. And I'm not good with graphics or that kind of stuff, that kind of computer
yes,
stuff.
I recognize this picture.
You
So
did
I
a
just-
good job.
So
Yeah,
I just
recognize
put
the
my own
picture.
stuff in there.
Right. I like the way you branded
I
it.
like
though.
that, yeah.
Yes, I'll keep this on my desk, but if you want one, we'll do that. So it's, that I can eventually get it back to you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Doug.
Good.
Obviously, we could have asked on and on and on, but let's,
Andrew's got a great presentation.
Thanks.
yes.
He's the man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you,
much.
Doug.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yay! So Andrew, everybody in the room is either in Ignite, hadn't even started Ignite, or maybe is finished, but they haven't done their own buyer broker. So we're talking new agents.
Awesome.
And he was one of my first tutors for
Really?
doing buyer consults. Yeah, that's when I joined. So anyway, I really,
Hi,
really
everyone.
appreciate it.
Wow. Hey.
All right.
So it's your choice if you want to actually interact, and maybe it would be good to do somebody different.
Okay.
just-
Anybody else want to come up here and sit?
I want to do it because I possibly have one coming up, y'all.
There you go.
Give me them
Nikita.
spirit fingers, y'all.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, just to mix it up and.
Yeah.
So how about, Nikita, don't have different set of variables than April did. So we
Yeah.
have just different, like, maybe you are a first time home buyer.
Okay.
Or
Right.
be a first time home buyer. How about that?
I'll be my clients. Okay.
Right. So to start out, when I set the appointment, I have my assistant send an email out that has the directions to our office, the address, the appointment time, and then the day before, I always confirm, hey, are you guys coming to the appointment? Is everyone that's a part of the decision-making process going to be present? As Wade said earlier, you know, what you don't want to happen is you're meeting the wife and the husband's not coming, and therefore they're not going to make a decision. In my experience, what I've learned is your success rate of getting them to sign and work with you goes down dramatically when you meet with them first and they don't make the decision there and they leave, and then from there they normally disappear, right? So your goal really is to ensure that they're signing the buyer brokerage agreement before they leave the place. And so when they come in, I always guide them. I kind of want to set the tone that I'm leading them, right? And so I'll guide them into the room. I'll guide them to a seat. I'll go ahead and direct, may I get you water or coffee? From there, I'll have them fill out a survey. The survey just kind of gives us all the information that's kind of important for us to continue the follow-up process, right? What is their address? What is their email? What is their cell phone? How did they find us? It's so important to track where your business is coming from so that you're able to determine, hey, this is how we're going to direct our resources next year. You know, for example, what I've learned is my clients that I have dinner with, or friends in Sphere that I have dinner with, are typically my top referrers. And so every year, I don't spend any money on internet marketing. I spend money on taking people out to dinner. And that's how I get my personal results, right? And so the only way you'll know where your business is coming from is tracking it. This year, what we did differently from last year is we ramped up our Yelp page. And from there, we've been generating Yelp leads. And so my assistant, when we put in our database, the lead, we're putting in there when we met with them, where they came from, you know, all the details we can so that we're able to look back at the end of the year when you're planning for the next year, how you're going to focus your energy. I have them fill out a form that states what kind of buyer that they identify themselves as, A, B, or C. A is someone that's looking in the next 30 days to buy, right? B is someone that has some time, doesn't necessarily have to fulfill a lease or sell a home to buy, and they're getting ready to get in the market. And then C is someone that can buy at any given moment. They're not necessarily ready today. They could buy today, but they're not quite there yet. The reason why I have them fill this out is because I want them to acknowledge where their mindset is in the process. And from there, you know, I let them know, hey, this can change at any given time, right? We just want to get a benchmark for where you are today. You may change your mind tomorrow and decide that you're an A buyer, and therefore we will know to prioritize you and help you get to your goals. Just understand that if you're a C buyer, we have A buyers that may become homeless, and so you may reach out to us regarding a home, and we may prioritize, right? To set that expectation, because when you're working with buyers, it's very easy for your time to get consumed, and so to help manage that, we do that through expectations, okay? And so once that's out of the way, I do my buyer's consultation. This is adapted from Sean Kokoska's presentation. As you guys get more familiar with Keller Williams, you'll get familiar with Diana Kokoska, which is head of Maps Coaching and Mastery, and it's actually her son. He sold over 100 buyers in 1 year, did over $100,000 in 1 month working with buyers. And so it's very well possible you can succeed at a high level with just working with buyers, right? And so it's interesting because initially when I adapted his program, I actually had a negative connotation around it. It was a lot of scripts, and I said, you know, this doesn't sound like me, this isn't gonna work. And as my business progressed, I learned that scripts is what really caused my business to progress. And so I will say, you want to systematize your presentation and your process so that no matter who the client is, you're delivering the same level of service, right? You want to be able to reenact, redo, and redeliver the same thing to every buyer to ensure that everyone has a great experience, and everyone that shares their experience, those buyers know what they're expecting and experience the same thing, okay?
And refer.
And refer. So I'll go ahead and start the consultation. So after you fill that out, it's Nikita.
It's, yeah.
Yeah. Nikita, thanks so much for filling that out today. I appreciate the investment of your time. You know, in my experience, what I've learned is by meeting with you first, doing the buyer's consultation, I'm able to provide you with the information and tools to set you up to win. Okay? And so I'm curious to know, what caused you to think to yourself, you know, maybe I should buy a house today?
Actually, I've been renting for 10 years, and I thought I was renting to buy, but come to find out, the landlord is planning to sell the property like right now. So I'm just, since I didn't know that I wasn't in the running to buy that home, I'm ready to just buy my own home. I've been renting for 10 years. I know how it goes with, you know, maintaining a home. I'm just ready to maintain my own home.
Sure, okay. And so with that being said, you know, how long do you have before you have to move out of your place?
My lease is this is March. My lease is up in May, so I'm like ready.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
we have
ready.
some work to do.
Yeah.
Okay. The good news is we're going to go over a lot of information today.
Okay.
And you don't have to remember any of it. That's what
Right.
you hire us for.
Right.
However, by going over everything, you'll have an overview of the process and what to expect,
Okay.
right? And so I'm curious to know, how many's in your family that's going to be living in the home?
It's just me and my husband, and we have grandkids that come over on the weekends, so I definitely want space for them as well.
Right.
And my husband, of course, wants his own space outside of the bedroom that we can just, when we need to take a break from each other. So
Right. And so your husband's sitting right here, right?
he's right here.
Because we would not be
You
meeting
hear
right
that,
now. We would not be meeting right
Wake
now.
up! You hear him talking?
Great. And so any pets in the family? Any
No
dogs or cats?
pets. No pets.
Okay, good. And so Nikita, where do you work at?
Actually, right now I'm a full-time mortgage broker.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I know a little bit about this process, but not this side of the business.
Sure. And so is it important for you to be close to your work?
It's definitely important.
Okay. And so how far are you comfortable driving every morning?
I can do about 20 miles here in Atlanta, dealing with Atlanta traffic. But other than that, I don't want to go beyond those 20 miles.
Okay, I can appreciate that. And so Nikita, where do you spend a lot of your free time? What area of town are you in?
Home.
Home?
Home. I'm a homebody. I love being home. So when I say that the home you find me, it has to be that place where I can feel like I don't have to leave and I can stay there all day and not feel any type of regret.
Sure, okay. And so what's kind of your dreams with this home? And what I mean by that is this a 2 to 5 year home, a 5 to 10, 10 plus? What's kind of your goals at this time?
Well, with me, I already have my kids raised, grandkids coming over on the weekends. This is right, honey? This is our forever home. So yeah, we're looking for long term. We're
That's
definitely
awesome.
looking for long term.
Okay. And so other than your husband, are there any other decision makers that's going to be part of the process?
Just us.
Great. And so this is your first home purchase?
First home purchase.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
Yes, very.
And so, are you familiar with the difference between a salesperson and a consultant in the real estate industry?
Not really.
Okay. Well, a salesperson, just like it sounds, they're there to sell everything
Okay.
and anything. You know, I consider myself a consultant, and the difference is I'm not so much here to sell you a house. I'm more so here to provide you with information, guide you through the process, and give you advice.
Okay.
Now, would you and your husband see value in that?
That's exactly what we need and looking for. So
Awesome.
yes.
And so let's talk about the market conditions. There's a buyer's market, a neutral market, and a seller's market. And so the way we determine what kind of market we're in, it's based on inventory levels.
Okay.
We make an assumption if no more homes come on the market, how long will it take to sell everything? If it takes less than 6 months, it's a seller's market. Anything beyond 6 to 8 months is a neutral market, and beyond that is a buyer's market.
Okay.
Okay. And what this means for you as a buyer is a few things. What price range were you guys thinking about buying in?
Well, we were approved around 190.
Okay.
but we're eager to go up at least 10 to 15 more thousand.
Sure. And so one of the things that we're experiencing under 500,000 is that it is a seller's market, and what that means for you as a buyer is a few things. We do experience shorter days on market, and so it's not surprising if a home hits the market and it's in line with the market that it sells the first day.
Okay.
And so as a buyer, to help set you up to win, what we want to have is clarity around what you're looking for, right?
Right.
The next thing we notice is that homes sell on average at 97% of list price. And so when we see a $100,000 house, it's not surprising that it sells for $97,000.
Okay.
In addition to that, we may encounter multiple offer situations. There's more buyers in the marketplace than there are homes available for sale. And with that being said, we want to be ready to compete with those buyers. And so some of the things that we'll go over today is what we do to set you up to win for that. Okay. Next thing we may notice is sellers are less likely to contribute towards your closing costs, as well as less likely to do repairs. Part of that is there are buyers in the marketplace that are willing to manage those items themselves. And so Nikita, I'm sure you're probably thinking to yourself, well, why would anybody buy in a time like this? And truly what you benefit from by buying today is going to be the interest rate.
Okay.
Are you aware of how the interest rate affects you?
Not really.
Okay, so we've had a really healthy interest rate for the last 8 years. And so one of the things we experienced this year is the federal government is expecting an additional 4 increases this year.
Okay.
And so every 0.25% that the interest rate increases, it costs you $10,000 on average. It's quite a bit of money, right? In addition to that, it affects your qualification from a financing perspective, as well as increases your monthly payment. And so to give you an example, if you went to the bank today and the bank said, Nikita, the most you could qualify for is $250,000. If the interest rate went up by 0.25% tomorrow, your qualification would actually go down and you could potentially only qualify for $220,000 to $230,000. That could be potentially $20,000 in qualification. You know what the sad part is? You actually pay the same amount as you would if you would have bought a $250,000 home at the lower rate.
Wow.
So not only are you paying more for the interest rate, you're also getting less house. And so I'm sure you're smart like most of my buyers who want to put more money into the house and not the interest rate.
That's right.
Is that you?
That's me.
Great. And so the first step to the process is going to be to get you pre-approved. There's a few benefits to that. You know, the first thing is it helps you understand what you qualify for.
Okay.
Gives you that confidence in knowing when you're looking at a house that you're comfortable buying it. We're able to also break down what that looks like from a monthly payment perspective. You know, for some of our clients, it's important what they're paying monthly. And the last thing is it really leverages you as a buyer. You know, when we get you pre-approved, it in essence turns you into a cash buyer. Now, Nikita, I'm sure you've sold something before, right?
Yeah.
So imagine someone comes up to you and says, Nikita, I'll give you $100. Here's my bank statement showing I have $100. And someone else comes along and says, Nikita, I'll give you $110. However, I can't show I have the money. Where would you be confident?
The $100.
Right, and that's exactly what we're doing for you.
Okay.
By having you pre-approved on the front end, we're really showing you and highlighting you in a strong way, right? We're able to say to the seller, you can be confident when choosing our client because their financing is already secure. Okay? So what we'll do is at the end of the consultation, I'll have my assistant go ahead and send you over our loan officers. These are lenders that we've worked closely with and have had past success with.
Okay.
Ultimately, it's your decision on who you choose. Just understand that these are people that we have a track record with, our clients have succeeded with, and in addition to that, they'll work hard for me because they know if they don't do the best job for our clients, they're not going to be on the list, right? Versus someone else, honestly, they probably don't care who I am.
Okay.
Okay? And so working with us, what you can expect as far as some of our services is the first thing, why most clients hire us is our ability to negotiate. We have a strong track record of negotiating multiple offer situations without paying above list price. Wouldn't that be important to you?
Definitely.
Great. Next thing they're hiring us for is to help them from an evaluation perspective. You know, when you send us homes that you're interested in, we're evaluating it from an investment perspective. We're going to be looking at key things that when you call us 5 years or 10 years from now and you decide to sell and hire us, we're going to be able to say to you, great, we don't have any buyer objections because we've already strategically positioned you.
Awesome.
Okay. Working with us, you'll be working with a team. So once we get you under contract, our assistant is going to be helping you with the deadlines and checklists and ensuring that you're getting to closing smoothly. In addition to that, we do have showing partners in place. Their sole purpose is to show you homes at your convenience, right? What I've learned is my clients don't hire me to open doors. They hire me more so for my expertise and my ability to negotiate on their behalf. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
Yeah, and so what I want is for you to see homes on your schedule and not my schedule.
I agree with
Right.
that.
And so when they show you homes, they'll take notes of any questions you have and relay that information back to me. If you have interest in a home, that's where we'll pick up the process and help negotiate on your behalf.
Cool.
Okay? And so working with us, what else you can expect is that's different from other realtors is the fact that we're proactive. We do lead generate, and so we're prospecting to potentially find you your next home, as well as if you were selling your home, we would be prospecting to see if we can find that buyer for your home. Now, if you identify a neighborhood you're most interested in, and let's say everything's either under contract or sold, you know, one of the things that we would do for you is we would go door knocking. We would knock on every single door in that neighborhood and see who wants to sell their house to you. You know, we're not only here to show you the current opportunities, we're also here to create opportunities for you.
Awesome.
We network with other agents, as we know many agents are the ones that carry the listings, and so we're looking in those areas that you're looking in to connect with those agents to see who may have a home that's coming on the market that may be for a match for you, right? In addition to that, we do set you up on buyer instant notification. That's where we set your criteria, and anytime a home hits the market and it matches your criteria, you're gonna get emailed instantly. So you're gonna know as soon as homes hit the market. Wouldn't that be great?
That's awesome.
Good. And so for all these services that we provide you, what do you think it costs you?
I mean, it's gotta be pretty expensive, all this stuff you're gonna do for me.
So the good news is this is every buyer's favorite part of the conversation. For you to hire us today, it's not gonna cost you anything. The seller's gonna pay our commission at closing.
Wow.
And so the only way we're gonna get paid is if we help you get to your goals. Doesn't that sound good?
Sounds good.
Great. And so let's talk about the different types of homes that we'll see in the marketplace. Some of these may or may not make sense for you based on your goals. To start off, have you ever heard of a short sale?
Heard of it, but not too familiar with it.
Okay. So a short sale is where a seller's going through a financial hardship.
Mhm.
Can't afford the house anymore. They owe more than what it's currently worth. And so what they're doing is they're asking the bank to allow them to sell it and short them the difference of money.
Okay.
That's where the short comes in. Unfortunately, it is not a short process.
Okay.
And to be honest, it's an unknown. So if we were to start a short sale process, it could take 90, 180, maybe a year to get a response.
Wow.
And there's no guarantee that it won't go into foreclosure or that the bank will even agree to the terms. And so based on that, most of my clients rule out short sales.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on that?
Not interested.
Okay. Next type of house you may see is an auction house. You know, my clients often ask me about the auction house, and there's a few things we need to be aware of before we consider them. First thing is most auction homes are cash only. They don't allow for financing. In addition to that, they're typically sold sight unseen without inspections. And the last thing is there's typically a 5% premium that you as a buyer is responsible for at closing to pay on top of the price that you want, right? And because of that, most buyers aren't comfortable with auction houses. What are your thoughts?
Nope.
Okay. Next type is foreclosures. Good news is they can close in 30 to 45 days. What we want to be aware of is what we see is what we get.
Okay.
So when we look at those homes, we know that it's in as-is condition.
Mhm.
And the main thing that I'd like to note is that we have to be extra diligent and patient in the process. I'm sure you've called a bank before and needed help, right?
Mhm.
And so when you called them, what they ask you? What's your name, birthday, social security, what you had for lunch, who you last dated? And they want to know everything, right?
Right.
And then when you ask your question, they take forever to get you an answer.
That's
It's kind of the same process in foreclosure. We're going to have to cross all our T's, dot all our I's, submit our paperwork in a diligent fashion, and they may take forever to respond to us. It's nothing we can't work through. However, I do mention it because obviously that's a part of the process that we want to be aware of. Okay. Now, Nikita, I'd like you to know that we'll never stand between you and your next home. However, for us to represent you and protect your interests, it's important we're your first point of contact. And so, two of the houses that we may see that it's important that you call me first is a for sale by owner as well as new construction. Now, in the case of a for sale by owner, you may be driving through an area, you see a sign in the yard with a seller that's selling it themselves. Call us first. What we'll do is we'll schedule an appointment for you as well as confirm that they'll allow us to represent you. In our experience, Their goal is to save money on the listing side. However, they appreciate having us as professionals facilitate it. Okay? New construction. You know, unknowingly, most buyers walk into a new construction community just to check out the model. Well, oftentimes they sign the sign-in sheet. On the sign-in sheet, if you read the fine print, it often says, by signing this, I give up all rights of representation. So once you've signed that, unfortunately, we won't be able to represent you. As a reminder, the listing agent's goal and fiduciary duty is to protect the seller and put the most amount of money in their pocket. They're not there to serve you, they're not there to protect you. That's my job, right? And so, if you see a new construction community you're interested in, call us first. We'll make sure you get scheduled and we're able to see the home.
Awesome.
Okay. Last type of house is traditional. This one is the one that typically doesn't have any crazy special stipulations, and it's just where a seller's looking to sell their house. So, any questions about the homes that we may see on the market?
I just want to see the traditional. I'm old. I don't got time for all that other stuff.
And I can appreciate that. And so, Nikita, would it surprise you that within the first 10 to 15 homes I show a buyer that they write an offer on a house?
It wouldn't. I mean,
Okay. Some people are surprised because they feel like, well, Andrew, how can I see 15 homes and know I found the right one? And part of our role is to not only save you money, it's also to save you time. And so you may share with us that you're looking for a house with a 2-car garage, and we're not going to waste your time with a house with a 1-car garage. We're going to be very hyper-focused about what you're looking for. And if we've seen 10 to 15 homes and we haven't found anything that interests you, from that point we'll have a conversation on what we can do to create more opportunities for you, right? And so there's 3 things about a house. There's the house and its features, the price, and the location. I can guarantee you 2 out of 3 at any given time. If you want the best house, best price, may not be the best location. If you want the best location, lowest price, may not be the best house, right? And so we just want to prioritize what's most important to you and your family. And so we'll help you evaluate that and guide you through that, okay?
okay.
And so when we find the right house, what we'll do is we'll write an offer on a purchase and sale agreement. In your packet, I have a copy of the purchase and sale agreement. Part of your homework today is going to be to read through that and let us know if you have any questions. Now, the reason why we do this, as mentioned, everything we do is to strategically position you to win. And so by reading it first and asking us the questions, you'll have clarity around what you're agreeing to. So that when we find the right house, instead of reading the offer, we'll be writing the offer. You know, we want to be very efficient because as you know, homes are going quickly. We want to make sure that we're giving you the best opportunity at these homes. Okay? So once we found the right house, next thing we'll want to do is the earnest money, which is a deposit to show that you're serious about buying the house. Customarily, it's 1% of the purchase price. It's going to be held in a trust account until closing. When you purchase the house, you'll see it credited to you on the settlement statement. If you terminate in the periods of protection that I negotiate for you, you'll get that earnest money back. If you terminate outside the periods of protection that I negotiate for you, the seller gets to keep it as compensation. Now, Nikita, in my 7 years of business, I've never lost a client's earnest money. However, I have had clients lose their own earnest money. Can I share with you what I mean by that?
Please.
Yeah. And so during the time that we're under contract, we're going to be sending you deadlines and checklists. And we may reach out to you. We may say, Nikita, I need this document by this day and time. It's important we have it by that day and time to protect you. Okay? Also, along the way, we may be giving you advice. It's ultimately your decision on what you choose to do. However, understand that our advice comes from a place of protection. And if you go against our advice, you may potentially be putting your earnest money at risk. Okay? And so we'll work as a team and a partnership to protect your earnest money.
I like that.
So let's talk about cost to you as a buyer. First thing is your cost to get to closing. These are costs to you to help you determine if you're comfortable and confident with the house. This is going to help you cover your home inspection, your appraisal, termite inspection, and any additional testing that's necessary to have you feel confident with the house. We recommend a budget of $2,000. This number is plus or minus depending on how many different inspections you do and who you choose to do them. Now, working with us, you do have access to all our strategic partners, and these are going to be your inspectors that are going to help you along the way, right? And let's talk about your closing costs. Your closing costs, we recommend you budgeting 4% of the purchase price. Now, obviously, if we're able to negotiate the seller to pay closing costs on your behalf, awesome. You have some extra money to decorate. However, the reason why we have you budget 4% prior to starting the process is we're here to set you up to win. And if we're in a multiple offer situation and the seller says the only way we will choose your offer is if you cover your own closing costs, we want you to have the option to be able to say, I have the money set aside, I want this house, I'm gonna buy it,
Okay.
right? We don't want it to be, I have to have this closing cost, therefore I'm not getting the home, right?
Right.
Okay. And so once that's all out of the way, pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
We'll go ahead on to closing. Hope you work your arms out. We're gonna be signing lots of paperwork. Good news is at the end of it, you're gonna get the keys to your new home.
Can't wait.
Okay. And so let's talk about our hours of operation. Our hours of operation are Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, weekend by appointment only. If you call us after 6, please don't take offense. You know, we rest at night so that we can work hard for you during the day, and we'll get back to you within 24 hours. Okay. Now to schedule a showing, we do request a minimum of 24 hours notice. Part of this is because most homes are still occupied, and they require 24 hours notice.
Okay.
Now understand, our commitment to your home purchase is at the same level as yours. And a home may hit the market and you may call us, you may say, Andrew, I need you to drop everything you're doing and meet me at this house. And we're gonna do everything we can to get you in the door as soon as possible. Same thing, I may call you and I may say, Nikita, I need you to drop everything you're doing, I found the one. Come meet me at this house.
Okay.
We understand you have prior engagements and other responsibilities. However, our commitment to your home purchase is at the same level as yours, right? And so do the best you can to meet us there, okay? And so, you know, you found us through referral, and that's actually our greatest compliment. And so when we do the best job for us, please let us know out of your friends and family and coworkers who we can help with their real estate needs. In addition to that, once we help you close, and we've done a fantastic job for you, one of the things that we would be grateful for is for you to provide reviews for us. We have some platforms that we do, and after you complete all the reviews, what we do is we send you some pizza on your moving day. Does that sound good?
Oh, yes.
Great. And so next we'll go over the buyer brokerage agreement, and to help you understand what the buyer brokerage agreement is, it's the contract between us that gives me the legal ability to give you advice, negotiate for you, and guide you through the process.
Okay.
You do want us to do those things, right?
Definitely.
Great. And so the only items that I'm gonna go over are the blanks that we fill in, since this is drafted by the Georgia Association of Realtors, and any realtor you work with in the state of Georgia, this is the same contract you would sign. Okay. From there, I would go through the buyer brokerage agreement, just the blanks. She signs on the line, and then from there, we schedule an appointment to do her needs analysis after she's gotten pre-approved. Once we've done our needs analysis, we then set up the search, and I take her out on tour. But I will not take her out on tour until she's pre-approved.
Right.
Any
That was
questions?
like really good.
That was really
Like,
good.
That was
Did y'all
good.
love it?
Yes.
See?
So is that,
So
I
what's
do
your
have a question.
Go ahead.
You got that directly from your scripts, cause you were like right on point, you didn't really look at the paper.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
were-
mean, I'll be honest, I've done this hundreds of times, so
Right.
it's almost natural
Right,
now.
of course.
And now, like, I'm transitioning. So I used to be a part of Becky Wynn's team.
Mhm.
She's my sister. I was her buyer's agent, and I recently started my own team. And starting a team, you know, one of the things being a rainmaker is doing listings.
Mhm.
I never did listings before. I just started this year,
Mhm.
and so now I'm working on mastering my script on that,
Right.
like I have this.
Right.
Awesome.
But this was the last 7 years, or I guess 6, because I didn't do it my first year.
How often do you do script training when you start?
As often as possible. So this
Mhm.
I would do almost every day for a month, and then I would do mock presentations for people in the office. I would
Right.
say, hey, can I just have an hour of your time so
Mhm.
that I can
Right.
practice this, and you let me know feedback on what I could do better.
Mhm.
And as time progressed, I've just tailored it based on feedback from clients,
Right.
or you know, what I experienced was necessary and what I experienced wasn't necessary.
Mhm.
So everything you said today, you feel is very necessary.
Yeah, and the reason why I go over a lot of information, because I'll tell you that by doing all this first, and I ask them the question, do you have any questions about the home buying process? There's not a single question. And so when we start the process and we get an inspection and it's a bad inspection, I'm able to say, remember when we did the consultation, we were talking about the market condition, right? And how most sellers are less likely to address repairs.
Right.
And so I'm curious to know, if we went back in the marketplace, what would it cost you? Because you've already paid for the inspection, right? You've already spent time on this. What does it cost you from an interest rate perspective? Because if we unlock your rate from this contract, what is the rate at today?
Right.
And so we're able to guide them in a way that sometimes it doesn't make sense to go back in the marketplace. Sometimes it does. But at least we've set the expectation so that it's not a surprise to them that I want to offer 80% on this house. What makes you special that you're going to do better than the market? That you think you can do 80% below list price in a multiple offer situation, right? We've already set that expectation. And the more expectations we set, the less pushback we get. Because I'll be honest, my first year in the business, man, they ran me to the ground. I worked 80 hours a week my first year in the business, and I made $25,000. Talk about a disappointment, right? The next year, I learned scripts. I did Bold, which is a great class to take, helps with your mentality. The month after I finished Bold, I did over 20,000 in 1 month.
Okay.
So I've taken Bold 6 times already.
But that wasn't his first year in the business.
Yeah,
I
that's
had
my-
just
yeah.
discussed this
That was
with
my
him.
second year in the business, but I took Bold.
What's the
But
what's
you
the
didn't know
difference in
scripts,
bold
too.
first, or what's it called?
Bold is just another
Bold or
coaching
Ignite?
class.
Ignite.
Yeah, Ignite is a class that the Market Center offers. Bold is a class that Mastery Coaching offers, right?
Well, I saw a
And
bold
it's a
that's
fee.
there's a bold that starts like the end of this month,
Probably so.
but I thought bold starts in
It
August.
must be another.
It's
Keller
multiple
Williams.
classes throughout the year.
Okay.
Different
okay.
locations.
Okay.
So
that's-
for example, there could be one going on right now that's in,
Seems-
They
Duluth,
just finished
right?
Monday, Drew.
oh,
Yeah, I
Monday
went
was
to
the
the-
last
just
day.
finished
I went to the graduation. That's why I'm so pumped. I went
Yeah.
as a visitor, and I'm like ready.
So
to
I'd
go.
have to say that really changed my business, and you know, it's $800, and I've taken it 6 times.
Yeah.
And even though I've progressed in the business, I still feel that it's necessary.
Yeah.
Just because every time I've taken it, I've walked away with something different. Either something that I use in my personal life, something I use in my business. I'm more productive, I'm working less. You know, because that was the most important thing to me. After working 80 hours the first year, I was like, I don't want to do this,
Mhm.
right? And I was able to progress from there. And you'll get to the point where what's the next necessary education for you? So now I'm doing MAPS coaching. I pay a coach $1,000 a month to tell me how to do my business,
Mhm.
right? It's you have to have that constant thirst for education, otherwise
Right.
you're gonna get left. There's just so many agents and so many people willing to do the work that you gotta wake up asking yourself, who's gonna eat my lunch today?
Right.
Okay, so do you have your script somewhere
Right.
in print?
I don't. But if you were to buy the Sean Kokoska presentation, all the materials are in there. I think it's either 150 or $200.
How do you spell Kokoska? Any idea?
That's a tough one. Here, let me pull it up because I have Diana's last name in my email. Kokoszka.
So advice to us being new with potential buyers coming soon for all of us, Spirit Fingers.
Yes.
A consultation wise, like I wouldn't be able to go through just like how you went through everything. So do you recommend me just maybe like finding a script online to help guide me through?
So
that?
I think the first thing that's really important as a new agent that Becky had me do as a new agent that at the time I thought it was the most mundane thing and ridiculous thing to do every day is first off, every day you should be starting your day by reading the purchase and sale agreement.
Okay.
You should read it all the way through. And the reason behind that is you as a professional expect your client to sign something that you don't understand.
Right.
So that's the first thing, right?
Okay.
We have to lead. We have to lead our clients. And part of that is having the knowledge. You don't have to know everything in this business. You just have to know where to get the answer.
Okay.
And I will say that setting expectations is everything. If you don't want to waste your time with buyers that are going to run you into the ground, set expectations. Set a time frame. I tell everyone 9 to 6. So now I get buyers that call me at 6:05 and they go, I'm so sorry, Andrew. I know it's 6:05. Can you help me real quick?
Yeah.
And if I'm busy, I'm able to say, I'm not available right now. Send me an email. I'll get back to you first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Is this time sensitive? Right? You have to protect your time.
That's right.
Because you're not going to work hard if you're burnt out.
Right.
Right? And setting a standard, you have to stick to your standards. So for example, I have buyers that say, I don't want to come into the office to do your buyer's consultation. Can we just meet at a Starbucks? So the ones I met at Starbucks, guess how many of those I closed?
Right.
Not as many, right? You have to set the expectation. Are you going to call your doctor today and say, I'm not feeling well today, can you come to my house?
Right.
Do you mind meeting me at Starbucks? That's not going to happen.
Right.
We have to set the standard as professionals. We have to say, the reason why you come into the office is because we get to use our tools, which will benefit you. So what day works better for you? I'm okay with meeting people at satellite offices. You know, you're allowed to use other Keller Williams meeting spaces. All you have to do is call them in advance, say, I'm with Keller Williams Atlanta Perimeter. I have a client that's in the area that I'd like to meet. Can I schedule a space, right? Anyone in the Keller Williams world, regardless if you go to California, anything like that, you can go in to their office and sit down and work. That's the great thing about our company. And so I will do that, and I will let them know the only times that I can meet them are between 9 and 5 if they want to meet at a satellite location, right? If they want to meet on the weekend, you got to come to Brookhaven. I'm going to make it worth your time. Come to Brookhaven.
Is
'Cause I
that your
have clients.
office?
Yeah, that's my
Okay.
office. Yeah. So I have clients that are buying in Canton. Okay, don't be like me where you drive all over. Okay, but with my personal friends, I will drive anywhere, and I have my system in a way that I feel like I'm still protecting them. But I have them Canton drive all the way to Brookhaven.
Okay.
I show them the value. This is why it's worth your time. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go over what to expect when buying a house, what are costs to you as a buyer, what my role is as a buyer, as your buyer's partner, and how we're gonna set you up to win. When do you wanna meet?
Okay.
What would you recommend to someone who also has to work another job? Because in this market, when you have to show property on a dime,
Yeah.
do you recommend working with someone or
Paying a showing
paying
agent.
someone? Yeah.
It's gonna cost you $25 an hour, and it's worth every single penny. Now, my recommendation to you guys as new agents is to insulate yourself, because we are heading in a shifting market, and only the healthiest are gonna survive. And what I mean by healthy, I mean by financially healthy. Okay? So this is your opportunity to shrink your nut, which is your monthly expenses. Set aside as much reserves as possible. If you're able to set aside 1 full year's of reserve, you're really going to insulate yourself. And I recommend reading Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, following his model, and truly insulating yourself. Because I will say that is one of the reasons why I was able to progress in the business, is because when the market crashed, funny story, my sister got me into the business, and I didn't have reserves. What I did have was a collection of sneakers that was worth some money. And I insulated myself. I sold so many pairs of shoes every month to pay off all my bills so that I could stay in the business. Because what I've learned is when you're not attached to the outcome, when you're not attached to the transaction, where regardless if your buyer buys or your seller sells, you're okay, you will succeed at such a higher level. It's always the months where I'm like, under contract, how am I going to spend that money? All of a sudden the deal falls apart.
Wow.
The months that I don't care about the money, I don't even care about the checks because I know they're coming in, that's when I flourish. It's because I don't care. I'm not attached to it.
Right.
You know, I don't have commission breath.
You're not chasing it.
I'm not chasing
Commission
it.
breath, yeah.
So my recommendation as new agents, truly
Sock away money.
sock away as much money as you can, because that is the first thing to go. Because the mistake that I made as a new
Shoot me
agent,
straight.
I spent what I earned. When I made my first 100,000, I spent my first 100,000, and it
Why?
did not help.
Why?
Because I was like, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I
And
didn't
it'll
think.
always come.
Yeah, I kept thinking like, did it once, I can do it again.
Right.
And I didn't reinvest in my business. And so I've had months where I'm like, crap, what am I going to do? Right? Now, the good thing about me is I'm not scared to grind it out. I'm not scared to work 80 hours a week. I'm willing to do whatever's necessary. And that's what's kept me in the business. I'm sharing this with you because there's a better way of doing the business and surviving and thriving in this business. And part of that is do not live outside of what you're bringing in.
Yeah.
Right? Pick a fixed number, whether it be 40,000, 50,000, live off that, bank the rest, and I guarantee you will be able to take opportunities that other people can't. Because when a market crashes, and it's going to crash,
They're
you're gonna
always
be the
cyclical.
one.
Always,
Yeah,
it's
you're
up,
going to be the
down.
one that says, "I have all this money. This is my opportunity to ramp up marketing. This is my opportunity to buy my market share. This is opportunity to buy my investment properties."
Right.
Those are the times that you should be taking advantage.
Exactly.
Is when everyone else is running scared.
Right.
And the only way you'll do that is if you're planning it now and insulating yourself for that future.
Andrew, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You got a card, Andrew?
Yeah.
You don't carry a card, right?
So you in the payment office?
Yes. So when
That was his
I left-
son
Did you used
sitting
to be
over
here?
there.
Huh?
Did you used
Yeah, I
to?
used to be in here. I
Yeah.
just switched to Peachtree Road less than 2 years.
See you tomorrow.
That was
So-
his sister sitting over there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Wait, where was she?
Was
Wasn't
she?
here.
was.
She was
No.
here.
She was here this morning.
Yeah.
Oh.
She was here this morning.
She,
Yeah.
Yeah, she came back.
That's my
So
sister.
what do you mean, what made you change?
So me and my sister were having strains on our personal relationship. We had different visions for how we wanted to conduct business. And so our business coach recommended that we separate. And I have to say that our personal relationship is
It's
the
much
strongest
better.
it's ever been. You know, because we're completely different. Everyone will tell you,
Of course,
like,
yeah,
when they
you're all
meet us,
different
we're
from who
completely
is-
different.
Right, sibling.
And so it's cool now because we still collaborate on some things,
Mhm.
and we work together on some projects, and now it's just like when we have dinner, it's just this good
Right.
positive energy.
Right.
Yeah.
Work all the time.
So if you ask the Martinos, they used to be our office neighbors.
Mhm.
What a week next to us look like? I can tell you some interesting stories.
People think they were
But
The way
I'm
they fought.
grateful for Becky. Becky,
Right.
you know, she's a rock star. She taught me everything I know, and I'm really grateful for her.
Mhm.
So
Cool people.
if you ever pass her in the hallway and you need help, she's the one.
Mhm.
Thank
She'll get you through anything.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, my
Thank
pleasure.
you,
Thank
Drew.
you.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
And I'm sorry, what's your name?
Donna.
Donna, I was gonna tell you, you asked about show me people.
Oh,
being
thank
able to
you.
show. 'Cause you have another
It's
job.
not gonna happen again. I
You have
promise
another
you
job.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in the
Awesome.
Keller Williams Raw
Great.
group
Uh-huh.
on
Great.
Facebook, and somebody posted there. She's at a different Keller Williams, but she posted in there like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Who knows somebody that wants who can do my showings? I was the first person to say me because I'm a new agent. I don't have a business.
Yeah.
And she reached out to me just like that, and she has
Yeah.
5 buyers
Oh, wow.
that already have been pre-approved. She just needs me to show the properties for her. So yeah, we have those Facebook groups that you could just write a post
That's good to know.
and people just come. So you gotta try to be the first one, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you for sharing that.
I forgot about that.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, because
And like I said, she's not even at this office. She's at a different Keller Williams, but I'm still able to do her show.
Yeah.
but is she Rawls Group?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, this was productive.
Yes.
This was-
Lots of ideas. Isn't it just?
He was good.
I love hearing from real agents that are really doing it. You know, instead of just theory or you know. It's wonderful. I know. Your head is always. And I did
Yes,
change
it
the
is like-
thing, but you know, it was so hot.
I think they
and
had it
humid.
because of
So-
the team meeting. but
Yes,
then with
and
us,
then they
it's
always
just like-
forget to
Yeah.
change it back. I did change it, but I guess the damage was done. Oh, bye. So, madam,
Yes.
I definitely need to use the restroom since I drank a whole thing of water.
Uh-huh.
And what do you need?
I just need to know what Leslie does, what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
Where am I in all this? And
Mhm.
because this is supposed to go live in a couple days, so
Right.
I just
Have you already filled out the listing input form?
sent me some, that's why I wanted to see, 'cause
Okay.
I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing?